Hello, Neal. So we are coming back to portfolio review, and I have another portfolio for you.
Okay.
This portfolio is quite interesting. So it's the same purpose with the other one, that just pretend that someone is applying for a master program in landscape architecture or applying for an intern position.
Sure.
Let's say just intern position, because both of these portfolio, they don't have educational background in the United States. So just assume like all of their work is in somewhere outside the United States. Okay?
Yeah.
So like applying for a master program or an internship summer program, so just review them as a student position.
Sure.
Even though this portfolios is a little bit different from the other, because these persons already have few years of working experience. So she shows some of the professional work. So let's see how you think about it.
Okay.
First, how about the cover letter?
The cover page. Sure. So I think it's interesting. I'm pretty compelled by these little tree sketches because I think they're actually quite beautiful. I think the hand is nice on the trees. I'm interested about the cubes on and what that means. But I think it grabs my attention for sure. And even the little diagrammatic what I'm interpreting as sort of a mountainscape behind it, I think is an interesting way to show that as well. And I like the font. I think it's a really clean, modern font that says somebody really thought about the sort of the design of it.
Do you know that there is a website that allows you to download a lot of design font?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that before. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just mentioned it if someone don't know.
Yes, absolutely, and those are great. I would be careful though, because you can go font crazy, and you don't want to do that. I would always take a very clean, simple font. Don't use all the crazy kinds of things that you can find.
Okay, so you like
I do like it.
Yeah,
I think I do like it.
Okay, just one.
Very well organized, right?
Wait, one second. Just let me
Oh,
make
sure.
a full screen.
Okay. So very well organized. I think, using the boxes to tell me what we're going to be looking at. I would say that some of the numbers, like the 2 is kind of the font is kind of weird on that. I can understand it, but it's a 4 and the 3 are kind of weird. But it's very well organized, very clear, very understandable. Although I don't know why the 2 top ones are empty.
I think just because she's want to frame it with the 9 box, and she just have only 7 project, so that is why empty, and she doesn't want to break the grid.
I see. I think that works, but it makes me question what those are. I would say either add an 8th and 9th section that is some other either project or sketches or some something else, or maybe think about somehow filling that in. I just have a question about it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's very simple and clean. I like it. Okay, so this is the first project. I think it's, so I like the process piece, right? This is how she's thinking. And so I understand, what we're thinking about and how she's getting there. So that's interesting.
One more.
Okay, so this is,
I will let you control it. So.
No, that's okay. You can control it. So I like that this is a continuation, right, of this last project, and so talks about some of the issues, and then how she's thinking about it.
I will let you control.
So
then, if you are not feel interested,
no,
with
I'm
the
just
page, you can do.
No, I'm just so this is the first time I've seen this, so I'm just trying to trying to understand it. And so there's obviously, this is a lot of the technical elements of the stormwater and the rainwater areas, and so understanding that. I think some of the sketches on there could be a little bit more, I guess, less sketchy. Right? So just a little like one more layer on top of that. I'm not saying it should be finished or rendered, because these are truly kind of ideas, but I think just clean it up just a little bit. Okay?
Yeah.
A lot more water. But I think it's good. I like some of those diagrams that talk about the different flows, and this helps me understand it. I like the diagram sketches that are up there, right? And this is really, I think that's really, really cool. Yeah. And then I don't know what all this is. I'd really have to, I would say that this is a lot of information, a lot of very detailed information. What I would think about doing is, let me see what the next page is. So this is still the same project?
I'm not sure. I think this is one thing that the project, this portfolio is not very clear.
Yeah, I need to know when one project ends and the next one begins. So maybe if there's something that is an element that's very clear to me, because as I go through this one by one, I would like to know, or maybe there's a bar across the top or something that says, if I've got 5 or 6 pages, I want to know that we're on page 3 of 5 or 4 of 5 or 5 of 5, right? And so
I think it's still in one project. It's named the flood zone design, because she has a number at the corner there.
Yes.
And then research and proposal.
Yeah.
But
right.
I think this research maybe have a lot of different components, like a small.
Right. So I think, so while this is what I love about it is that it shows the depth of thought process. But I think I would compress this down to maybe, if she could compress this project down to 2 to 4 pages at the most, right? 2 spreads, so that I can really get an understanding in two different spreads what the project is all about. I can't get into the level of detail looking at a portfolio. I can't get into the depth that she has gotten into. I love it, and this is like this would be more of a project presentation than a portfolio. Portfolio, you have to be very compressed, very concise, on point with what you're trying to say. And so if you've got one section that says here's the problem in the analysis, here's my process, and here's the final product, that's, I think, going to be really important. And so 5 or 6 different pages is a lot to go through and to keep your attention.
Okay. And the next one, wait, yeah.
Yep. So I would just simplify all of this.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to the second page.
It is.
Right?
Yep. It's very much. And so I would really simplify and bring the story right down to its really its major component pieces.
Right. Well.
Yep.
She has quite a lot.
Yeah, I think, and again, it's good, and she's got, obviously, she can tell a really compelling story, right? This is an important project, I can tell to her, but I think what she has to do is maybe get distill it one more time, right? I'm sure she took a lot of stuff and put it in here. Maybe she just needs to think about, taking a look at this and however many 6 or 8 pages that she's got and bringing it down to 2 to 4 pages instead, and being very, very clear without all the text and descriptions and following the arrows, kind of how you got there. How can you tell a story to somebody like that?
Okay.
I think that's going to be important.
Move to the second.
All right. So here she describes, a little bit of what the background of the project is, and so I like understanding that a little bit.
Do you think it's too many text?
Too much text, probably. Yeah, I think this looks like it may have come from a presentation. So I don't really need to see the photos, right? While I can understand this is a diagram for a portfolio, I don't need to see all of that. I want to see her thought process and her work. I don't want to see a bunch of photographs as much.
Okay. And then some section. Yeah. Okay. How do you think?
I'm sensing that I'm getting this project is going to be long because I'm just getting just pieces of it. So I can't, until I see the whole thing, it's hard for me to follow along and understand what the process is here. So again, this is very nice. I like this piece of this, and I actually like the way that sort of unites this whole page and the layout. She's got some sketches and things. I think I like, I like the graphic quality of this. And this, to me, maybe wants to go right up front, right? That could be sort of the lead in, and then you tell me a little bit about, you start with this,
and then
you tell me, then you explain how you got there, right?
Yeah, it's like the marketing strategy, right? You show the best first to make people feel interesting,
right? And then
interested to your project, and then you start like explaining and tell the story. But before that, you need to let people interested in listening to your story first,
yes, right. So I look at this and I say, I hope that I get to see more of this this interesting dock area, right? Or I hope that I get to know a little bit more about what this is all about, or and then when I flip the page, I want to see that it says, all right, this area, and it tells me a little bit about her thought process going into that area, right?
Okay, so now just
we have some renderings. Those are nice. I like those.
Okay.
So those are very nice.
But do you think it's a little bit redundant when she has like already nice perspective like hand rendering, and then the next page is just like software rendering? Do you think?
No, I think it's good to see both.
Okay.
I like,
just to show the different skill.
Right. I like to see the hand rendering. I like to see the computer rendering. And so I think, this just shows that she's got a wide range of skills. Going back one, I kind of like that this shows, because this is some hand, some computer combined. I kind of like that. It's kind of interesting, and so it just shows me a little bit more of that sort of soft thought process. I expect that everybody coming in here, next page, is going to be able to do kind of computer stuff, but it's kind of nice when I see people actually can do the hand drawings as well. It's kind of a nice compliment.
Okay. And then the third project.
All right, so the third project, so this is interesting. It's got a lot more topography, but a lot of text.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of text for a
lot of
portfolio,
text.
right?
Yep, I'm not going to read that text. Here's what I will read. I'll read a little bit of the text, and I'm going to be honest with you. I will read it for grammatical errors. I'll be able to, I can tell just by reading it whether or not somebody actually took the time to write it and review it and feel like it's good to go, right? There are so many that we get that there are, and I understand it's people's second language, English, but it's something that stands out.
Okay.
So that's the only reason I read pieces of that. If in the context, I want to see a one sentence or two sentence thing at the most, right? That's the hardest thing to do. There's a quote that says, I think it was, I can't remember whether one famous author that said, I didn't have time to write a long letter, or I didn't have a time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead.
Okay.
Because it takes a lot longer to write a very short. Simple phrase than to go on for an hour.
Yeah, I agree
writing.
with you.
So, anyway, that's one comment I would make.
Okay.
So these sketches are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're really, really nice. That to me.
You want to hire?
Well, so here's what I would do. I mean, this is interesting, but do I need to see all of these? Show me this one.
Okay.
All right, or show the whole thing in this area. Right? Just I don't need to. You're not selling me on the project.
Right.
You're selling me on the thought that went into it, and how you think about it. So make these smaller, and then fit these on that page in some way. Those are really.
Like
those
a
are very
professional.
nice. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Even, they're a combination of hand, digital, I can see the architecture is all digital, right? These are all just totally cut out of in Photoshop, right? But, that's okay. I think those are really, the hand is very nice. I like them a lot. So I would call more attention to those, and even to the point of, if she had a drawing like this and she wanted to have, if you use this as, instead of having that, right, the plan view, if you have this and you have some leaders that say, this is what, these are what the elements are, right? Use this to tell the story. Don't use that.
So like, for example, in this one, she can just use like a big perspective view, hand drawing, beautiful like this, put it in the front page. Yeah. And then with some leader to that diagram, it will be more informative, and attractive, rather than much text.
Get the small text, make your diagrams, but have them maybe smaller and more contained.
Right.
And you can tell the story when you're with somebody, but you just, you've got to be able to sort of bring it a lot fewer drawings, but more impactful drawings in your portfolio. So things like this are just gorgeous.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a little bit pity when she put two beautiful hand drawing or whatever in one page. So it feels like a little bit distracted.
Yeah, pick the best one, right?
Or you can put it in 2 pages.
Yeah.
That to help to tell a story.
Sure.
And at the same time still keep the attention.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then.
Oh, that's pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's the restraint on just making sure that if here it looks like your eye is supposed to go right to the center, to that architectural piece, and the rest of it here is just all context. And so I think that's a nice way of doing it. It's a lot of the hand drawings and things, and lots of sort of media all kind of combined, but your eye goes to the one thing. It's just, what I would do in this is use this to tell a lot of your story with leaders or bubbles or something else, right? This is so nice that if you were able to use this as your, the thing that helped tell the story, that would be really nice.
Yeah, I feel like this perspective is different from the other because the other have like higher level of detail, rendering, texture, color.
Right.
But whereas this one is somehow like just like a neat diagrammatic. And
more diagrammatic, yes.
Right. So if it's related to diagrammatic, it's made better, like you say, it's like show more leader, related to the diagram that show the story.
And then the last one that we just saw, more of a
perspective rendering,
more of a finished product. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So these are details, So I think instead of just having a page where you just got those two, maybe what you do is if you go back to the last one or something, either this one or the next one, right? If you've got something, if you make this one a little bit smaller in the center and you have these leaders, if I don't know where that element is, but if you had something that sort of came off of it and then you had the next rendering, you had this in a bubble off to the side. You had the center being the rendering, and you had sketches like this off to the side of it, and then just a couple little, like a tiny description. And then that, because I don't know where that is in the project, so I don't understand the context of it. But I mean, I like that sketch a lot. I don't think she needs the plan view. I think that this perspective is much better than the plan view. I would just use that.
Yeah, and I think if the plan view, it should be like a more technical look, right? Like maybe you can provide some description, annotation, dimension,
right?
Or some
because there's
section, for example.
There's nothing in the plan view that the perspective doesn't tell you already, right? So use only your very best work. And that's, in this case, it's the perspective. Yeah,
and also we should avoid duplicate the information. If you already show that information in one drawing, you don't need to repeat it in another drawing with different forms.
Right. Take your project, take the very best images, tell the story as simply as you can. And so I would always recommend, at the very most, just a couple of pages for a project.
Okay.
And try and be able to tell your story very clearly in those couple of pages.
Okay, and then the fourth
one. All right.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay. So this one, she's kind of doing that. This one, I like how she's got a lot of these diagrams. I like that there's no text on here. I can see there's thought process about what she's thinking about in terms of the urban movement and the form and what's driving some of these decisions. And then the next one, so what I would do is maybe somehow combine this, or maybe even not even do the plan view. I just want this needs to be more integrated into the whole. Right, because in the last one, we've got a lot of information. The page is full. On this next one, it has no description, no leaders,
I feel it's
right. So I think
right?
it looks a little unfinished. It looks like these are kind of floating on the page. They're very nice, but I think we need to see how the thought process finishes with a final product. So I need to know what all these elements ended up being, and just tie it together a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe even just do this.
Yeah,
right?
I think just
don't do the plan view. And then again, I want to see a description on this of, what this is, what this is. Tell me more about all these elements, right? This over here, maybe there's a sketch or something, or I just I think, this is a pretty nice drawing. I think we can, she can just use that. Yeah, see these sketches? Those sketches ought to be incorporated into that drawing, right? So I want to see that drawing in the center, and these sketches, like take this one down, and then maybe have these sketches all around it with leaders to it and some labels or something.
Okay.
Because I think that's really that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waterfall and.
Okay. So this is pretty cool. I like this. I like these little quick sketches of the concept, the idea of the waterfall, and how that then works its way into these little sketches, and then how that works its way onto the actual form. I really like this page a lot. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would change much about this because there's no text, but I get it, right? I understand exactly what she's thinking, how this made it to this, and a little bit of rendering and diagram. I think that's very nice.
Yeah. Furniture design.
You see, she went and this is one project on one page, right?
She has some background here.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. So maybe she doesn't even need this first page.
I think she doesn't need it.
Right? I think.
Or maybe just like only take the first part there with the location of the project
and bring it on to the last page.
Yes.
Bring it onto this page, right?
Yes, like in the small corner, and that enough.
I think that if she does this on one page, then it's super powerful. I can see the whole thing on this, and I go, I totally get the process. I get your thought process. I see it. I actually like it. I think it's a really neat thing. I would love to see that. So, okay.
Yeah, this is one project and one page.
Yeah, so I like that one, right? So she's got just some ideas, and I think those are kind of neat. So she's gotten into some sort of furniture design type things.
Yeah. And then because this girl has some working experience, so it just shows some of the project that she did. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's important that people know what she did on these projects, right? What role she played, because clearly, these are all rendering companies that did professional rendering companies.
No, she did it by herself.
These renderings? Really?
Yeah.
Well, I need to know that then, because as someone who is hired, so this one here, those?
They did it in-house, and she did it.
So I think that would be really important to know, because as a person who has hired many rendering companies for lots of competitions, these look like those.
Right. They can do that.
Okay, so I am going to assume, and I think a lot of people would assume, that a rendering company did those, because that's just what we do, is we hire rendering companies to do that. So if she did these herself, I would make sure that she says that right on here.
Yeah, she said that she position, project architect, project coordinator, and 3D rendering. Okay,
well, I'm losing that in here. I need to absolutely know that. Because I don't know, maybe I'm taking it back with that font. I think any time that you've got, because I'm having a hard time sort of reading that in that font. Maybe the font for labels is one thing, but your text is a simpler thing to read, because I just want to make sure that people know that she did I want to know what she did on these. And so if she rendered those, I need to know that. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that a rendering company did it.
Yes.
So make no doubt about it, because that's really good stuff.
Yeah, like even I think like one company can hire just to do that, because it will save a lot of money, right? like when you hire other consultant, and at the same time you can hire someone with a very good 3D rendering skill and technical skill and join in the design team.
Right.
So
absolutely. So, that's interesting.
Yep.
That's good.
So, do you have any suggestion, like how she can really tell that is her rendering? She cannot write like I do it by myself.
Well, maybe. I think it's got to be very clear. I just think because maybe I think, like I said, I think the font that she's using up here, I think just sort of runs together too much.
You see, like she used the same font and here, but it's easy to read. But this one is
that's
not.
really hard to read. And so I would use for text. I would use something that's very easy to read.
Okay.
And so once she does that, I think it's going to be. I think that's going to be very clear. That's. I would say, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's not position. Maybe it's my responsibility on this project. Or on these projects, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you mention that, because in our thought, normally we don't work much with the 3D rendering consultant.
Yeah.
So then we will assume when we see a portfolio, we will assume that rendering is made by that person.
Right.
And it's not like difficult to find someone can do that 3D rendering, because I have to be honest with you that Southeast Asian student normally is very good in 3D rendering, especially like Chinese student or Vietnamese student.
Agreed.
So it's really like normal if someone like me, if I see a portfolio with very beautiful rendering, I won't surprise at all. But you guys, if it's a professional watch, you will assume that it's made by another company.
Right. But what I also want to say is that we get a lot of resumes from Chinese students. Okay, a lot of them, and they all have these renderings. Some of them worked on the renderings, but a lot of them were professional renderings. Their projects they worked on, competitions in China, other things, and they themselves are not doing the renderings. What we found after interviewing many people and looking at portfolios, all of a sudden the portfolios went to the top of the stack for these Chinese students because they were so graphically beautiful. Once you get talking to them, no, they didn't do those renderings. They were a part of the team, but the professional renderers did them all. So in my mind, now I sit there and say, well, those are all interesting, but I'm sure those are done by a professional renderer, because that's what we found. So if they're not, I need to know that she did those, because that's really important. It's really important.
Yeah, you're right. Because
in the United States.
Right. And even with the student project in Asia, some of the students, actually including myself, some of the rendering I didn't do it. Yeah, because some people they hire other people to do the rendering only, and it's not like conflict with academic policy or something, because they are not required to do the rendering by ourselves.
Right.
So it's very normal when the student they just hire someone else to do the rendering for them. Like some of my project, I have to honest with you that I hire someone to do it. But we just never thought about we have to really tell exactly which one we render it by ourselves and which one we hired someone to do it.
So like I said, I try to get to the bottom of that when we actually interview them. If we're sitting there and your portfolio is open and I see that there's these beautifully rendered things, who did that? Right? And if you say, was this a team project or a single project? Oh, it was a team project. All right. What did you do on the team? Did you do this rendering? Well, I didn't do the rendering, but I did all the thought process and I did all the whatever. Then that's fine. I understand that, but I think I need to know so that I'm not fooled, right? You don't come into my firm and I go, all right, I saw in your portfolio you can do these amazing renderings. Go, here's your first project. Can you do all these amazing renderings? And you're like, oh, I can't. I hired somebody to do that. Well, that's not very helpful, right? So I think you have to be honest with yourself and honest with us. You're still going to get the job, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't. I think that's dishonest, saying claiming something that you actually didn't do, because once you're here, we're going to ask you to do that. We're going to expect you can do that.
Yeah.
So I think if she did these, definitely say that is hers, because in the United States, people will not believe that unless you tell them that.
Okay, so even when you look at a portfolio, we have very great rendering. Mm-hmm. So
I'm always skeptical.
Guys know. So you guys already know that it may not be by them,
yes.
right?
Yes, we've learned our lesson.
Yeah, I remember, I think when I first interviewed with Madison's office and they asked me like if I did this, like what the position I did. Mm-hmm. I told them, it's a teamwork and I did this, but I didn't do this image and thing. Yeah, I remember I told them that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's great.
Is there more?
No.
Okay.
She just showed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what I would say overall, again, is simplify. Mm-hmm. Use your very best renderings to tell the story. Compress everything down and use less text.
Okay.
Right? That's what my recommendation would be.
So.
But it looks like it's good work.
If this portfolio applied to an internship position, for example, will you put her in first or second cut, or no, not strong enough?
I think with some of those drawings, I would put her in after that first cut to look at a little bit more. But I think if she has the opportunity to revise this once, I think she would be able to, definitely make that second cut and get to an interview.
Yeah.
I think she's just got to simplify, condense, tell her story in less space.
Yeah, I feel like this girl, she's had really great skill.
Yeah.
Like a lot of working experience, skill, graphic skill.
Yes.
But just like she might need a bit weak in graphic design and how to tell story. So it's not good at telling story and show her the best, right?
Yeah. I think she just has to because a portfolio is the quick hit. She needs to show the best. She's not trying to sell the project to somebody. She's trying to show her ability and her talents and her thought process. So try and show that as cleanly and simply as possible. Tell that story in a very short time, in a very small amount of space, and I think it'll be much more impactful.
Okay. Yep. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. So our portfolio review ends now.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much for the time. Yeah, see you next time.
See you.
Bye.